All right, this is going to be a video on how to operate the touchscreen controls. First, I'm going to turn the key on, and one of the things you'll see is an e-stop. That's standard all machines. If I depress the e-stop, it's going to kill the power to the entire machine. To reset the e-stop, you just twist in the direction of the arrows and the e-stop will pop back up. So the system will reboot up. You're going to see your hour meters to start with, and then there's going to be acknowledgement each time you turn the machine on that you've read the manual. So we're going to acknowledge that, and this brings us to the main operator screen. Initially, everything's unlocked, so I can pick level 1, which is our lowest setting, where the water flows at 2 and the down pressure is also at 2. I can, if I want to, I can pick environment number 2 for medium power, water flows 3, down pressure is 3. Or I can go to level 4, which is the maximum power, water flows 4 and down pressure is 4. On any of these settings, the operator can adjust and they can customize it however they like. Once I go back to 2 though, it's always going to go back to those presets. Also on the displays has our battery gauge. These will go from green to yellow and red. When we get to the very bottom, it'll blink or you'll get an X, and that's letting you know you've got just a few more minutes to get back and recharge. It also has a number below, which is the actual voltage of the batteries. This is an area which is an icon that shows us which systems are being selected and whether they're running or not. So many of them are grayed out, and as I use my mode wheel, this is traction only. This one will give us vacuuming and scrubbing. This one is scrubbing only. This one is vacuum only. So typically the machine's gonna be operated in single pass mode. So we're gonna turn the machine on in transport mode. I can drive from my charging station out to the area that I'd like to do some work. Once I get to the area I wanna do some work, I'm gonna go to this part where it's got scrubbing, water, and vacuuming all working at the same time. This is single pass scrubbing. These scrub motors and the water flow won't kick on until I actually depress the green button. Same with the vacuum. So when I squeeze my green button to drive forward, the motors will come on. When I let go of the green button, water flow and brushes and vacuum shut off. This is where if I want to do just double scrubbing without the vacuum, I had a heavy traffic area, I want to really scrub, I would use this, make multiple passes, and then when I was done, I could use my vacuum only mode to vacuum up the water. And this is showing us that the vacuum right now is pulling 21 amps. When I'm running my scrub motor, I'll get a reading down here of how my scrub motor is working as well. This green arrow this arrow will be green when we're driving forward. When I go in reverse, you'll see the arrow turn to red and go backwards and start to flash. And so that motion is letting us know that the traction motor is being worked. Behind this operator screen is actually a manager screen. And so this, if we ever have error codes that are going to display here, it records the last 10 error codes. We can scroll through and decide which ones to delete. This is helpful for a technician who might be working on a machine that's experienced error codes over the last couple of weeks, but it's working on the day they get there. So this will show us the history of all that. This is also where I would access my manager code, which I'm going to type in 349. And that takes me to a deeper screen. From here, I can see I actually have control over what those values are. So my number 1 setting, my number 2 setting, and my number 3 setting. So on my maximum setting, water is maxed out, down pressure is maxed out, vacuum is running 100%, and the traction is running 100%. If I go to my lowest setting, we're gonna see that the water flow is lower, the down pressure is lower, and the vacuum and the traction are also lower. I can adjust any of these, so I might decide I want number 1 to be only number 1 on the water flow and number 1 on the down pressure. I could do that, and I could turn the vacuum down even further to 80%. If I like the way that looks for number 1, I could save that. So now we've customized the programming for number 1, and we could do the same thing for 1, 2, and 3. The other thing that we can do is we can name those. If you don't like the name low, you might decide that you want that to actually stay showroom. That with my settings or the name, I have to hit save, and then you'll see number 1. If I go to number 2 and we come back to number 1, it saved the number 1 setting on the down pressure and the water flow, and it saved our new name. Another thing that we can do from this screen is we can lock things. So if we don't want the operator to scrub too hard, we could say number 3, which is way too powerful and maximum, I'm gonna lock that out. And now my operator only has the ability to use number 1 and number 2. So if we like the way that looks, we're gonna save that, and then we'll back out of the screen and go back to the home screen and we'll see what happens. So now that's been saved, we're gonna click and go to the home screen, and we'll see number 3 is locked out. So the operator can choose number 1, which is our lowest settings, or they can choose number 2, something in medium, And if they try to use number 3, the heavy duty setting, it's going to give them this error code. Okay, and if we want to undo what we just did, again, I go back to my manager code 349. This gives the managers the ability to have a very powerful machine when they need it to be powerful, but to lock that out so the operators don't use the machine in too aggressive a fashion on sensitive floors. So I can go to number 3, and now I'm going to unlock that. Now number 3 is unlocked, and we decide we want to change the name medium. We're going to actually change that to warehouse. And now that we've saved that, number 1 is for the showroom, number 2 is for the warehouse, and number 3 is still set at the max as it is from the factory. If we like that, we're going to save and go back to our primary operator screen. Other things that are on this dashboard, if we back away a little bit, we're going to see our speed control here on this side. This is a red light for the vacuum clog. This red light should never be on. If it is, it means we have a clog somewhere in a vacuum line, the squeegee or inside the tank. We need to get that fixed. And then on this side, we also have the forward reverse switch. So the machine is always in forward, it defaults to forward. If I pull this back, I'll get back on my main screen. If I pull this back, the machine will travel backwards. This green button to travel forward. And when we're done, we want to turn the machine off and remove the key switch.